If patience is a virtue, then waiters are basically modern-day saints with name tags. 1. The phantom substitution. A diner in New Jersey once ordered a cheeseburger. Plain, no pickles, no onions, no drama. When it arrived, he stared at it like it was a riddle from the universe. "I said no pickles," he hissed, pointing to the microscopic sliver of green hidden under a melted slice of cheese. He demanded the waiter take it back and bring him a new plate, new fries, new ketchup, because the essence of pickle had contaminated the entire meal. The waiter nodded, took the plate away, and, legend says, brought back the same burger after discreetly removing the pickle shard. The customer ate every bite and declared it perfect. Sometimes justice doesn't come from management. It comes from quiet, vengeful culinary diplomacy. 2. The birthday song hostage situation. At a crowded family restaurant, a waiter got cornered into the deadliest trap of the service industry, the surprise birthday serenade. The mother whispered, "It's his birthday. Make it special." The son was 45, wearing a Bluetooth headset and visibly dying inside. Still, the waiter gathered the staff, clapped in rhythm, and performed the full off-key spectacle. The birthday man didn't even look up from his phone. But the real tragedy? The mother insisted they do it again because she didn't get the video in time. So they did it twice. The waiter's smile froze like a war veteran reliving combat. Somewhere between cha-cha-cha and Dear Greg, his soul quietly clocked out. 3. The soup temperature war. A customer once sent their soup back 3 times, each for a different reason. First, it was too hot. Then, it was too cold. On the 3rd try, they claimed it was emotionally lukewarm. The waiter, who had reached Zen levels of internal detachment, simply nodded as if to say, "I no longer live in this reality." After conferring with the chef, he brought back the same bowl, added a parsley leaf for psychological effect, and declared, "Now it's balanced." The customer smiled, tasted it, and said, "Finally." That was the day the waiter realized restaurant work isn't customer service. It's performance art with a side of therapy. 4. The allergic to water incident. One evening, a woman at a busy Italian restaurant dramatically informed her waiter that she was deathly allergic to water. The waiter froze, assuming he'd misheard. Nope. She clarified that she could only drink hydrogen-free water, which, scientifically, doesn't exist unless you're serving dust. Still, she demanded a glass of dry water room temperature, with a lemon slice for safety. The waiter, clearly questioning his career choices, brought her an empty glass with a lemon wedge balanced on the rim. She nodded approvingly, took a sip of air, and said, "Perfect! So refreshing." When the bill came, she complained that she shouldn't be charged for a drink she technically didn't consume. The waiter calmly replied, "That's okay, ma'am. We didn't technically serve one." If customer logic were an Olympic sport, this woman would have taken gold for defying chemistry, physics, and basic hydration all at once. 5. The tip calculator catastrophe. A group of 6 office co-workers came in for lunch, determined to split the bill exactly evenly. The total was $112.47, which should have been simple enough. But after 20 minutes, they were knee-deep in napkin math, decimal panic, and conspiracy theories about tax rounding. One woman accused another of sneakily undertipping, while a man demanded to see the receipt like he was auditing the Pentagon. The waiter patiently watched as adults with college degrees melted down over basic division. When they finally handed him a pile of crumpled bills, it was $4 short. They argued again about who owed the missing money, loudly blaming hidden menu inflation. The waiter, an unsung hero of modern patience, quietly slid a 5 from his own pocket into the stack, smiled, and said, "You're all set." Somewhere in that moment, a saint earned his halo, made entirely of unpaid tip money and silent rage. 6. The coffee temperature court case. In a downtown cafe, a businessman demanded his coffee be as hot as legally possible. The barista obliged, serving it fresh from the pot, practically boiling. Moments later, he sipped it, screamed like he'd been attacked by lava, and accused the waiter of attempted tongue murder. He insisted the cafe display a sign warning customers that coffee might be dangerously hot. You know, the exact thing coffee is meant to be. When the waiter offered to replace it with a cooler cup, the man refused, saying he wanted justice, not temperature correction. He left in a fury, muttering about lawsuits, only to trip over the "Caution wet floor" sign on his way out. The waiter didn't laugh out loud. He just stared into the espresso machine like a monk achieving enlightenment through caffeine and chaos. Some days the job isn't about serving coffee. It's about surviving it. 7. The mystery of the empty plate. A customer once sent back his meal because, according to him, it didn't look like the picture on the menu. The dish? A salad. The picture? Also a salad. But apparently his lettuce wasn't arranged emotionally enough. He gestured to the menu photo and said, "See how happy that salad looks? Mine looks disappointed." The waiter, now playing the role of art critic and therapist, apologized and asked what would make the salad happier. The man replied, dead serious, "Maybe if it had more confidence." So the waiter took the plate back, fluffed the greens, added an extra cherry tomato for morale, and returned it with a straight face. The customer smiled, said, "Now that's the energy I wanted," and ate it all. Somewhere, a chef sighed, not in defeat, but in respect for a waiter who just gave a salad an emotional makeover. 8. The Forbidden Refill Rebellion. At a casual diner, a woman ordered an iced tea and drank half before flagging down her waiter. "Can I get a refill?" she asked. "Of course," he replied. But when he refilled her glass, she gasped like he'd just ruined her life. "I wanted a fresh tea, not a refill," she snapped, accusing him of reusing the same ice spirit. He explained it was the same drink she'd ordered, same tea, same glass, same planet. But she demanded a new one to reset the flavor. The waiter obliged, remade the drink from scratch, and even changed the straw, because clearly this was a spiritual cleansing, not hydration. When she left, she tipped 7%, writing, "Service was fine, but energy felt off." That's when the waiter realized customer service isn't hospitality. It's witchcraft performed under fluorescent lighting. 9. The Ketchup Crisis of Table 7. It started like any other lunch rush, burgers, fries, and chaos, until Table 7 asked for ketchup. The waiter handed them a bottle, and immediately, the lead diner squinted at it like he'd discovered a government conspiracy. "This isn't cold," he said. The waiter blinked. "It's room temperature, sir." The man gasped as if he'd been handed toxic waste. "Ketchup should be refrigerated," he declared, lecturing the entire table about proper condiment hygiene. His friend, equally confident but scientifically wrong, countered, "No, ketchup lives on the counter. It's like bread." Within seconds, the table split into two factions, the chillers versus the shelfers, arguing loud enough to drown out the jukebox. One woman demanded the manager enforce ketchup standards. The waiter, realizing diplomacy was futile, fetched both a cold and a warm bottle, setting them down like peace offerings in the world's dumbest summit. The customers finally agreed to use both for research purposes. When they left, they tipped $1 on a $60 bill, claiming the condiment crisis delayed service. The waiter didn't even flinch. By that point, he'd survived the Great Ranch Dressing Rebellion of Table 9. This was just Tuesday. 10. The gluten-free water scandal. A wellness influencer once dined at an upscale cafe and asked if the water was gluten-free. The waiter, assuming it was a joke, chuckled. It wasn't. The woman's face went stone cold. "I'm celiac," she said gravely. "So even airborne gluten particles can affect my hydration." The waiter, resisting every instinct to point out that water has never, in the history of chemistry, contained wheat, barley, or rye, instead replied, "Of course, ma'am. I'll bring you our most purified wheatless water." He filled a glass from the same tap as everyone else, brought it with a lemon slice for visual legitimacy, and said, "Filtered through a zero-gluten process." She nodded approvingly and took a dramatic sip like a sommelier discovering a rare vintage. Then she posted a photo captioned, "Finally, a restaurant that understands gluten-free hydration." The post got 14,000 likes. The waiter didn't say a word, because when you work in service long enough, you realize there's no arguing with confidence powered by Instagram followers. Science might be undefeated, but in the dining room, influencer logic reigns supreme. 11. The Wi-Fi emergency. A middle-aged businessman stormed into a brunch cafe like he was raiding a tech startup. He slammed his laptop on the counter and barked, "Your Wi-Fi is too slow for urgent corporate tasks." The waiter calmly explained that it was free guest Wi-Fi, not NASA's private network. The man scoffed, muttering, "You don't understand? I'm moving crypto." He sat down, huffing so loudly the whole cafe vibrated with financial tension. When his laptop froze, he waved the waiter over and demanded a digital reboot service. The waiter blinked. You mean restarting it? The man glared. You're in the service industry. Serve. So the waiter walked over, pressed the power button, and said, "Technical reboot complete." The man stared, awestruck. "It's fixed." He tipped 20%, declaring the waiter a tech genius. The staff still talk about him, the man who confused customer service with IT support and thought espresso bars doubled as Silicon Valley help desks. Somewhere out there, he's probably still telling people he met a barista who restored his blockchain. 12. The Yelp threat level. A couple came in for dinner and immediately announced they were elite Yelp reviewers. The waiter smiled politely, every server's internal alarm for incoming nonsense. They ordered steak, rare. When it arrived perfectly cooked, the woman said, "This isn't rare, it's emotional medium." The man nodded sagely, as if decoding steak astrology. They sent it back. The kitchen made another, then another. 3 steaks later, the man declared, "Now it's too rare, you're practically mooing." They summoned the manager, waved their phones like weapons, and said, "We'll be forced to leave a critical review unless something is done." The waiter, unfazed, offered dessert on the house. They declined, claiming sugar interferes with objective reviewing. As they left, the man whispered, "We'll see how you handle public feedback." 2 hours later, their 1-star review appeared online. Waiter, too calm under pressure. Suspicious. The next week, the restaurant doubled its reservations because everyone wanted to meet the Zen master who survived the Yelpers from hell. 13. The breadbasket rebellion. During a busy dinner service, one woman refused her breadbasket because, in her words, the bread had an aura of arrogance. The waiter, a veteran of culinary nonsense, nodded solemnly and removed it. 5 minutes later, her husband requested different bread. When asked what kind, he replied, "Something humbler. Maybe wheat that's been through hardship." The waiter retreated to the kitchen, grabbed the same loaf, cut it differently, and presented it as artisan peasant style. The woman smiled. Now this bread understands struggle. She ate 3 slices, called it emotionally grounded, and tipped 8%. The waiter wrote "bread therapy" on the order ticket and kept it for future training. Some restaurants have Michelin stars. This one had a Michelin scar. Because every seasoned server knows, the line between hospitality and absurdity isn't a rule. It's a baguette, sliced in 2 different ways. 14. The vegan steak revolution. One Friday night, a man strutted into a steakhouse wearing a "Plants Have Feelings Too" t-shirt. He told the waiter he was vegan, but wanted to test the system. He ordered a ribeye, medium rare, just to see if your morals crumble under pressure. The waiter, unfazed, took the order and served the steak perfectly cooked. The man stared at it like it was a moral riddle. Then, dramatically, he took one bite, spit it into his napkin, and shouted, "Exactly what I thought. Pure animal energy." He demanded a refund, claiming the steak had triggered his empathy glands. The manager calmly offered him the vegan option, a mushroom steak, which he refused because, quote, "It's too obvious." Finally, after a 30-minute debate about culinary ethics, he paid the bill, tipped 3%, and left muttering, "You people are slaves to your grill." The waiter, who'd just watched a man stage a 1-person protest with meat, simply sighed and whispered, "Table 4 has achieved enlightenment, medium rare." Somewhere in the kitchen, a cook added "vegan philosopher" to their growing list of job hazards, right between "allergic to water lady" and "guy allergic to forks." 15. The child menu negotiation. A middle-aged man sat down alone and asked for the kids' menu. The waiter, assuming it was for someone joining him, politely handed it over. "No," the man said. "It's for me. I identify as a youthful spirit." He ordered the dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets and an apple juice, then demanded the child's price. The waiter explained that kids' meals were for guests under 12. The man leaned in and whispered, "Age is a construct." He argued for 10 minutes, citing emotional height and spiritual adolescence as evidence of his eligibility. When that failed, he ordered the adult chicken tenders, then insisted they be cut into dinosaur shapes anyway. The chef obliged with cookie cutters, producing the saddest prehistoric creatures in history. When the food arrived, the man beamed, dipped his brontosaurus in ketchup, and said, "See, I knew I belonged here." He left a glowing review online titled, "Finally, a restaurant that respects inner youth." The staff agreed it was easier to serve him than debate metaphysics. In the end, everyone learned a valuable lesson. The The customer is always right, especially when he's ate on the inside and hungry for validation-shaped nuggets. 16. The lemon law complaint. At a family restaurant, a woman ordered water with lemon. Pretty standard, until she took one sip and screamed like she'd discovered betrayal in liquid form. "This lemon tastes unripe," she cried. The waiter, confused, offered to bring a new slice. "No," she said gravely, "this is a lemon quality issue." She insisted the manager come out to inspect the fruit. When he did, she handed him the soggy lemon like it was courtroom evidence. "Do you squeeze every lemon personally?" she demanded. "Because this one lacks zest, emotionally and literally." The manager, fighting laughter, apologized and replaced it with a fresh slice. But she wasn't done. "I expect compensation," she said, "for my ruined hydration experience." The manager comped her water, all 37 cents of it, and she tipped nothing, saying, "I don't reward negligence in produce selection." The waiter just nodded, walked back to the kitchen, and quietly added lemon emotional trauma to the night's mental damage report. In the restaurant world, some people send back steak. Others send back the concept of citrus. 17. The spaghetti string theory. A college student complained that his spaghetti was unevenly spiritual. The waiter asked what that meant, and the student said, "Half of it feels more committed to being pasta." He pointed to a single noodle and whispered, "This one's lazy." Trying not to laugh, the waiter offered to replace the dish. "No," said the student. "I want you to talk to the chef. Tell him to feel the noodle's energy before boiling." The waiter obliged, mostly for the story, and returned saying, "The chef meditated with the pasta. It's enlightened now." The student took a bite, sighed dramatically, and said, "You can taste the improvement." He then left a long, poetic Yelp review comparing the meal to existential jazz. The waiter printed it and taped it to the staff fridge with the caption, "Like a philosopher dined among us." It became legend, the day spaghetti met quantum mechanics. Every restaurant has a story about bad tippers, rude customers, or picky eaters, but only one can say their pasta achieved emotional resonance. And for that, they charge an extra $2. 18. The salad dressing showdown. A woman ordered a garden salad with dressing on the side. When it arrived, she glared at the tiny cup of ranch like it had personally insulted her. "I said on the side," she snapped. The waiter pointed to the literal cup on the side. "No," she clarified, "I meant on the side of the lettuce, not beside the plate." She wanted the dressing artistically drizzled halfway onto the salad, as a metaphor for life's uncertainty. The waiter blinked twice, unsure if she was joking. She wasn't. He took the salad back, smeared half the dressing diagonally across the greens, and presented it like a work of abstract art. She gasped, "Now that is what I meant." She ate slowly, nodding with satisfaction, and said, "Balance restored." Her husband sat silently, chewing his plain croutons, clearly re-evaluating every life choice. When the check came, she tipped 12% and wrote, "Beautiful effort, slightly too symmetrical." The waiter walked away whispering, "There are no small requests, only existential ones." 19. The soup of eternal regret. It began with a bowl of clam chowder and ended with a philosophical crisis. A woman ordered soup and, halfway through, called the waiter over in visible distress. "There's something wrong," she said. "It tastes like yesterday." The waiter gently explained that chowder by nature does taste like the past. That's what simmered flavor means. But she wasn't having it. "No," she insisted. "This soup has emotional leftovers. It feels reheated spiritually." The waiter blinked, unsure whether to apologize or call a priest. He offered to replace it with something fresh. She pointed at him and said, "Freshness isn't about temperature, it's about truth." So he brought her a new bowl, sprinkled with extra parsley, the international symbol of "please stop." She smiled, nodded, and whispered, "This one forgives." She finished every drop and left a napkin note that read, "The first soup lied. This one healed." The waiter framed it in the back room as proof that no one, not even God, can predict what customers will say about soup. 20. The fork conspiracy. At an upscale bistro, a man stared at his silverware like it had betrayed him. "This fork is too shiny," he announced. "It's distracting my aura." The waiter, channeling his inner diplomat, offered a duller fork. "No," the man said. "That's not the point. Who polishes these? What are they hiding? For the next 10 minutes, he interrogated the waiter about corporate agendas, fluoride, and the reflective industrial complex. Finally, the waiter handed him a wooden salad fork from the kitchen. The man sighed in relief. Finally, authenticity. He ate his entire meal with it, then asked if he could take it home for further meditation. The waiter said sure, partly because it was cheaper than therapy. As the man left, he whispered, "Tell your manager the forks are watching." The waiter nodded solemnly, then wrote on the shift log, "Fork paranoia, 610 on the weird scale." He didn't realize that, 2 tables over, another guest was polishing her spoon and saying, "You know, he's not wrong." 21. The coffee shop philosopher. Every morning, the same customer walked into the cafe, ordered a medium latte, and spent 45 minutes explaining to the waiter how coffee was a metaphor for consciousness. He claimed espresso represented the unfiltered essence of being, while decaf symbolized society's fear of feeling. The staff called him Mr. Metaphor. One day, the barista accidentally made his drink with oat milk instead of almond. He took one sip and gasped. "This changes everything." He scribbled furiously in a notebook, muttering, "Oat is the bridge between worlds." Then he refused to pay because he argued ideas can't be purchased. The manager comped the drink, mostly because no one wanted to debate philosophy at 8 a.m. The man left behind his notebook, filled with equations that just said coffee, nashurius, life, mashkors, debt. The waiter kept it as a reminder that caffeine doesn't just wake people up, it activates entire delusions. 22. The dessert dilemma. A family of 4 ordered a chocolate lava cake to share. When it arrived, the father announced, "Let's make this fair, equal bites." What followed could only be described as custard chaos. He pulled out a measuring tape, literally. "Precision is key," he said, slicing the cake like a surgeon defusing a bomb. The kids waited, spoons trembling, as their dad calculated fractions of melted chocolate. One bite was 0.2 grams heavier than the others. He scraped off frosting to fix it. When he was finally satisfied, he took a bite and frowned. "It's not as warm as it should be." He flagged the waiter, who replaced it immediately. Then, no surprise, the whole measuring process began again. The family spent 40 minutes achieving dessert equality. The waiter earned a 10% tip and a lifelong distrust of lava cake. Later that night, he told his coworkers, if fairness had calories, that table would be obese. 23. The Great Breadstick Standoff. In an Italian restaurant, a couple began arguing over the final breadstick like it was a matter of national security. The waiter approached cautiously, offering to bring more. "No," the man said. "This is about principle." The woman crossed her arms. "He always takes the last one. Always." The breadstick sat in the center of the table, cold, untouched, radiating tension. After 5 silent minutes, the waiter returned and said, "I'll bring another basket." The man said, "Don't. This is our journey." Finally, the woman snatched it, took a dramatic bite, and declared, "Victory never tasted so stale." The man clapped sarcastically. The waiter simply cleared the plates, whispering, "No winners tonight." When the bill arrived, they tipped 50%, writing, "For your bravery." The waiter didn't celebrate. He just stared at the empty bread basket and wondered how humanity had survived this long. So next time you see a waiter smiling through chaos, remember, they're not just serving food. They're surviving humanity, one absurd moment at a time. Which one of these disasters deserves its own holiday? Tell me below.